Bindi, and I'm Regional Nutritionist Consultant for the Department of Human Services. My primary responsibility is the WIC program, the Women, Infant, and Children program in the Chicago area, in the Cook County area. So I started off not knowing what I wanted to do, but knowing I wanted it to be in the health, world. So I changed my mind a bunch of times. I was working as a pharmacy technician when I was in college, and I decided I liked the nutrition part of pharmacy and how to, be on the preventative side of health more than the after you're sick and treatment side. So that's kind of how I came to it. You get challenged a lot. To be honest, sometimes people know something you don't know, or more than you know about something in nutrition, and you're supposed to be the expert on it. And we certainly have that pride, especially if you talk to other nutritionists, it's like, well, I know the answer, I'm the expert, we learned it in school. But there are a lot of experts out there, and it can be very challenging to stay up to speed on everything that's going on. So that you truly are the expert. So how do you separate yourself from the general public, and are you truly helpful to people? Specifically, I would say that there was one person who was a swimmer, and they were very adamant about their knowledge about sports nutrition, and I was a little bit like, well, no, I didn't feel that it was valid. And then, of course, things come up with the controversy between saturated fats and intact grains and the value of those foods. Even just a friend the other day was questioning me about the different kinds of fats, and it's a long answer, because some are saturated and some are unsaturated, and some are, the unsaturated are split into mono and poly, and it's not an easy answer, So it's like, okay, I can't just tell you that this is healthy or unhealthy. It's really ultimately comes down to balance and moderation, but people want more scientific explanations, and it's like, well, then give me a minute, because it's going to be a long explanation. I worked a couple of years in refugee nutrition at Heartland Alliance. They've come from such poverty, they've come from such, such little. We're trying to catch them early on to understand, the first thing they go for is like ice cream, and the orange soda is kind of like their two favorite things. And then, of course, they discover Popeye's chicken and, things like that. And it's like, it's delicious. It's amazing, and they've never had access to it. So, who wouldn't want to go nuts and have a whole lot of it? So that's something that we really have to explain to them. And then, of course, different cultures have different beliefs about beauty. The media has kind of gotten into all cultures. American media, and thinness is a value, but not necessarily in all cultures. So that's something for them to understand, is along with gaining weight too quickly, you may run a risk of health problems. The people we're serving are poor, and they have other stressors, so it's not, when there's other things that are more pressing than nutrition and their health, and then it's really hard to compete with, I don't have money for diapers. Most of them have enough for food. It's just maybe making the time to prepare food and make it healthy, and not just go for the convenient, snacky kind of junk food. It'd be nice to raise the minimum wage, and we'll see poverty be reduced, and that would help people to be able to prioritize their health. I feel confident in my skills and my abilities, but I feel that we do get challenged and not trusted in the way that maybe we ought to.
My name is Ana. I'm a licensed dietitian from Mexico. I started working as an international dietitian since 1994. My first working experience initiated in Mexico, then Pakistan, and currently I am working in the United States, training and coordinating students in the outpatient and community nutrition rotations. I was working on a research in the south area of Chicago. The community is basically African American. One day when we were doing some health fair there was a big bus there. And I was curious, what is this bus it was doing here in this community? And then it was full of fruits and vegetables inside. So then that was Michelle Obama when she try to promote the fruits and vegetables in the communities and areas where we don't have, when it's considered food deserts. So they were sending buses with food so people can buy them fresh and with very low prices. So I went there, and one thing that I was curious was like why they were a little like dry or not, didn't look fresh. So I asked the bus driver, or the one who's in charge of that, and he says, well, the problem is that even though we have the good purposes to bring those things here, that is not in the culture yet. So people are used to not buy them very often because there is no place to buy it. And so now, even though we have those things here, they don't have that in their culture. That is like a little frustrating, right? You try to bring that idea or that concept or that benefit to this culture, but we don't have enough dietitians who would like to emerge or resolve this problem. Another problem that I encounter is that since I speak Spanish, and I can see most of the patients who come to these clinics in the Chicago area are Latinos. They speak Spanish, and I understand their culture. I understand what we eat because being Mexican, right? This is my culture. Then in training, that's my challenge because most of my interns don't speak the language. So I have to translate for them. But they're very knowledgeable. They're very, very capable. However, my interns need to be able to transmit the knowledge or their education. And then we look sometimes for people who can translate for them. And sometimes the people who translate not necessarily send exact message that the dietitian interns are trying to communicate. And that's very challenging. Since the Latino population is growing and increasing, maybe one of the classes could be in basic knowledge in nutrition and in Spanish. So even though there is this lack of language or so, it's still the intern can be able, the dietitians be able to communicate in some basic, and then our numbers, our data will also change also, you know. Even when I go and look in the nutrition care manual, not everything is translated into Spanish. And that's a challenge to me because I would like to translate everything into Spanish because I'm capable, but I don't have the right to do that. You know, I don't have the credentials to translate, and that limits my profession and that limits my education. We need to be more sensitive and more knowledgeable in diversity. I think that will be the problem, not necessarily about the number of people, is the quality of training in people to resolve those problems.
My name is Maria. I'm a registered dietitian and also a licensed dietitian nutritionist in the state of Illinois. And I became a dietitian because my cousins were taking up nutrition. I don't know what I'm doing. I was so young. I graduated in my bachelor's degree in foods and nutrition when I was 19 years old. And I took a dietetic internship when I was 20. And I took the board exam and I passed it before I was 21 years old. I have been with the city of Chicago for 25 years. I migrated here in 1990, October of 1990. So the first job I had, I was wiping tables for a few weeks. While I was there, I applied as a manager for McDonald's International, and luckily, I was accepted as a manager in one of the McDonald's location in the city of Chicago, but I did not stay there for a long time. I was there only for a few months because I found a job with the city of Chicago Department of Health. Working as a dietitian in Chicago is very challenging because I came in from another country. I have to blend in with the culture to find for a job that will fit my education. And finding the job is not easy. But luckily, I was on the right time and on the right place. Actually, I worked 5 days with the city of Chicago. I worked 2 days with a nonprofit agency. So I worked 7 days a week for 12 years straight. And the time passed and I didn't notice it. I was a dietitian in a substance abuse program outside Chicago. And these patients, they became my friends. They became my friends. And my peers said, why you work with the AIDS program? Why do you work with the HIV? Are you not afraid that you will get that disease? I said, why will I get the disease? Do you know how you can get HIV and AIDS? And then I said, I don't have sex with them. Sorry, that's censored. But, my thing is to help. I have a patient. He was a drug addict. At the same time, he has HIV/AIDS. Now, he saw the importance of proper diet and taking his meds and away from drugs. So he told me, how can he make a difference? And my son, at that time, also he's making like a video on. He said, I will make it like a thesis. I asked the approval of all these people in the place where I work. We went there. My son took a video of him, the surroundings, and him talking. So he said, I want that video to be shown so that people will take the precaution of not contacting AIDS, HIV, and also not being on drugs. And that person, he passed away. But I think that's one of the most memorable moment that I had being a dietitian, that I made a difference. And I want to cry. So I'm okay. The only thing I need is to retire. It was fun. It's fun working with the community, with the people who really needs help. It was fun until now. Chicago is a very nice place. The only thing also with as a dietitian, as a community nutritionist, sometimes the safety of the neighborhood is a concern. All these clients that we have that needs our help, they don't live in the affluent neighborhood. They live on the places where there is a high crime rate. So if you go there, you are also not in a safe place. But because of your desire to help, you do it. In my years of working as a nutritionist in Chicago, I did not feel like I don't want to do this. yeah, I want to do this because I want to help, and at the same time, you earn money, good money, if you just know where to go. You should be happy and at the same time earning money to pay and to get what you want and to enjoy what you want in life. Right? So that's what I...
My name is Susanna and I'm a renal dietitian. I work in an outpatient setting primarily with chronic kidney disease and dialysis patients. I became a dietitian because when I was little, I observed my mom showing breastfeeding moms the power of good nutrition through education and counseling. She worked with WIC, with women, infants, and children, and she was their dietitian and would teach a lot of the breastfeeding classes. So I'd go and I would observe and I would chime in, don't forget to tell them about this mom and this benefit. And I saw the moms' reactions and how appreciative they were, and just knowing that they can healthily feed their child naturally. Every working day is a challenge. Our population of patients are so complex, and not just medically. They have limited resources, are incredibly diverse, and the majority are impoverished, on top of dealing with medically complex and often with the aid of intense medical treatments. What I've learned has helped me overcome my fears of not being able to establish a rapport with my patients and to watch them make positive steps towards their goals. I fail every day too, but this is what pushes me to work harder and wiser. I believe we still remain a very underappreciated and under-recognized profession. We are a profession that is not large, but ever growing. Yet we are not known in the most common workplaces, even in the medical field, or amongst our patients, or even in the general population. If there's something that I can change in Chicago, it would be career development. Too few jobs offer the ability to climb a ladder, so to speak. If there were ways within current dietitian positions to create additional multi-tier positions, such as a team lead, an intern, an education coordinator, our numbers in the workplace would grow, and hopefully we would have a bigger impact on our value in the medical community, at least to start. My favorite part about being a dietitian, besides eating, is knowing the importance nutrition has on life and experiencing what it gives back to us in return. It is why we are alive. Chicago's a big place, but in my tiny little part of Chicago where I practice, I'd like to see our voice be heard. I think Chicago and dietetics practice in general is fairly small, and so the network, it can be very large. It just takes one person to know you enough to recommend you, and that can speak volumes. I hope that I'm still practicing and teaching in renal nutrition over the next 5 years. I absolutely love what I do.
Living in Chicago. I love to live in Chicago because there is a variety of cultures.
The summers. That's why I put up with the 9 months of miserable weather, is for these gorgeous summers. I mean, there's just so much activity going on, and so much of it is free and public. I love that aspect about it.
I really like talking to people because I learn at the same time, and I learn things that I want to know, and I can apply directly to my life, my family, and my kids, and it's good.
I'm watching the American soccer, and Mexico was playing also. I'm a very big fan of Mexico team, and I was able to go to the Mexican community and be able to be with everybody there, and I feel that I was in Mexico, and we were eating the stuff that are from Mexico, and this is why I love Chicago, because every time I'm missing something or I'm thinking about the places that I've been or my family, I can be able to go and you can see how diverse Chicago is, and that's why I love that. So being in Chicago, I have received a lot of benefits, not only in the knowledge, but also in the experience as a human being, as a dietitian also. I'm very thankful for this opportunity that the life gave me. One of the questions that they asked me, what I will do in 5 years or in the future, I don't know. I just know that it's gonna be wonderful. I know that I'm going to be so happy, whatever will come in the next 5 years, because I really enjoy every single year of my life in dietetics, and I know that I'm going to be a very happy dietitian.